Zero marketing.
Okay.
Zero marketing.
Does it count that you have some fame, irrespective of where the fame comes from?
We have grown. Let's change the narrative from we're growing to we have grown.
We have grown.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Zebra Comics podcast. Today we've got Franklin Agogo, or no, I shouldn't do it that way. We've got Dr. Ejab Gaius, who is our Chief Content Officer and writer at Zebra Comics. And we've got your humble servant, Franklin Agogo. And today we're going to be talking about something very, very, very interesting. If you're a creator out there, this one should be for you. Something which, should galvanize you, should push you to be able to create a more interesting, exciting comics for Africa and for the world. So, our topic of discussion today is going to be why comics creators need to build communities around their works.
Yeah.
I think it's a topic which, we kind of, as creators, creators usually kind of escape from that. We always like to be hidden in our room somewhere.
Yeah.
Just sit on our computers,
Yeah.
on our tablets, create that work and just hope that the world is going to marvel at our, godly, divine, abilities in terms of character development, in terms of storytelling and all of that. But the reality is quite different. I mean, it's something else. I think the market actually demands, or your readers actually demand that, you do some minimum communication with them, reach out to them, and of course, work with them. But what's your take on the situation as far as creators and their attitude towards community building is?
The first thing I'll say, when you look at the overall temperament of creators, there's a classic personality that you see across so many of them.
Yeah.
So the guy who's doing his stuff in the room, drawing every day, dim lights, lights, closed windows. So usually they have that kind of vibe most of the time. So they're not very outwardly. And when you look at most of their profiles, it's not their name.
Yeah.
And the picture there's actually maybe a different character. So it's always something obscure. Sometimes it's like he's trying to create an image for himself.
Yeah.
It's good, but when you become a professional, I start thinking of how to market yourself, how to market your work.
Yeah.
There's some level of visibility of yourself that you need to give to the world. So I think you want to be obscure, you want to create some kind of obscure personality, but now we're talking business.
Exactly.
So people need to know who is creating this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's very important because actually when you start out, especially for those who are starting out, I mean, if you are no Todd McFarlane, if you are no, I don't know, Stan Lee, or any of the popular manga creators we know out there, you naturally have to start from somewhere. You have to start from somewhere, and when you're starting from somewhere, your work may be great. You may post online and people will be interested, and so they want to check you out. But for you to be sustainable, for you to have something going on for quite a long time, you have to do some intentional work. To actually build a community around that. And I think this topic is very important. And we're going to touch on that. Down the discussion. It's very important because we are launching a third-party program on the Zebra Comics platform, and of course, creators need to know that yes, it's not just going to end in doing that great work, believing that you're the next Picasso, or the next or the next
it's not rocket, it's not
Leonardo da Vinci,
it's not magic.
Or some guru comic creator who's just going to make it like that out of the blue. There's some work that you need to put in and to be able to stand out from the crowd. Given to that today with the digital, the competition is violent. I mean, you just need to go on Facebook today and just type this the keyword comics, and you see a ton of publications from comics creators.
Like I always say, when the environment becomes easy, the competition becomes harder.
Exactly. Exactly.
In the past, if you wanted to do marketing as a comic book creator or publisher,
yeah,
you need to invest in print, you need to invest in TV ads and all that.
Exactly.
Not anybody in his room can do that.
You
could not, unlike today, you could not sit in your room, do your print comic, and then go have enough money to pay for TV ads, for example, or to have it in the newspaper or something like that. So those were at that time. So those who were able to do it at that time, they didn't have the level of competition in the marketing space as today. Now anybody can do that.
Yeah.
We have social media ads, for example, which anyone can do, and most of them you're the one who determines your costs, depending on how much you want it to perform. So anyone can do it. That raises the bar of competition.
Exactly.
Because now it's not like there's some sort of gatekeeping of what can be done. It's now open for everybody.
It's now open for everybody.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Actually, the good, the bad, the ugly is out there. And talking about that, I think the first thing which I wanted us to really explore basically was about the state, generally the state of comics creation today. I think, we actually see the good, the bad, the ugly online these days. Everybody is, turning out to be this super comics creator. Everybody is turning out to be, the next big thing, comics. And of course, comics is growing generally. I mean, the market in Africa, to be precise, is growing with new creators popping up every day. In fact, in general terms, how do you see the comics landscape in Africa today?
So it's definitely growing. At first, everyone was hung on print.
Yeah.
But we're seeing a massive shift towards the digital space, and it just makes sense with the digital era.
Exactly.
Every other thing is just following with the trend that is ongoing.
Yeah.
So a lot of things are changing. More platforms are coming up. More people are turning into webcomics. So it's just a matter of time before it becomes a well-established industry. I'm even tempted to say it's already almost there.
Almost there, okay.
As an industry of digital comics, I think let's say we're one step into it, or one step away from reaching it, reaching there already. Because I think we've heard the narrative of we're growing for too long. I think we have grown.
Okay.
I think we can now say we have grown.
We have grown, yeah.
Because it's evident in the number of people who are creating webcomics now. It's evident in the number of webcomics platforms that are springing up every day.
Yeah.
It's evident in the amount of money people are making through webcomics.
True. Exactly.
For example.
Of course.
I think, we have grown. Let's change the narrative from we're growing to we've grown.
We've grown. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. And I do agree with you because, we kind of see, new creators every day, new creations every day pop up here and there. We see more African creators publishing on top platforms, the Webtoons, the Wattpads, the Tapas, and other platforms which we know out there. And of course, it's really encouraging because, bit by bit, more and more, as you said, we have grown. There are many who are now, making resources, generating revenue from their work. So I think the webcomic is a very good example of that. And so it's really growing. Now let's come back to what we were talking about, which is basically how creators can create communities. I want to go from an angle which who kind of touch some sensible parts of some people.
That's what I would like to touch.
And that angle basically is the angle of celebrity. Does it count that you have some fame, irrespective of where the fame comes from, and based on that you just make it as maybe a webcomic creator? Take for example, you are some you are some musician or you're some footballer, and out of the box, you just say, okay, let me try my hand at comics, and you venture into it. Will you just make it?
I think it would depend now on how you want to do it.
Okay.
If I say, okay, I'm a footballer and I want to do comics, it means that you have to learn how to do it. Either you're learning how to do it, or you're collaborating with someone who knows how to do it.
Yeah.
where I'm talking is with respect to the quality wise.
Of course.
Quality wise. For the impact on the market, I think that can play a huge part.
Okay.
Yeah, I think being famous already and doing a comic book, the comic book might benefit from that film that you already have. I would take the example of Berserker.
Okay. Yeah.
Berserker, the
very
comic
good
book,
example.
that Keanu Reeves did with other collaborators. The name Keanu Reeves alone was enough to pull people to want to check it out.
Yeah.
But
True.
It didn't just end there. The story itself was good. And he collaborated with people who were already into comics.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think how you do it, has a big role. The film you already has can have an impact. Yeah. But in the end, the work needs to be done well.
Okay. I'll just add that it's just to maybe fine-tune what you said. Just add that, you might be a celebrity, you might be someone who has, this name or this popularity, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
For you to succeed in that. There is the creation, which you have already explained. The comic itself, the story needs to be really good, the artwork needs to be top. But of course, every other process that comes around it, from what platform you are on, for how you do the promotions, how you do the marketing, manage the finances, the revenue, and all of that. All of that needs to still, back up, the celebrity status that you have. So basically, all of that still needs to come into, support that celebrity status.
Yes.
So celebrity is just one aspect.
It's one.
Just an aspect in the whole thing. But there's a number of aspects that go into it. And when we talk about webtoon platforms, for example, webcomics, generally we were talking about so much, because it's not just, you gave a good example of Keanu Reeves, for example, but what we're getting now into the webcomics domain is another ball game again. It's another ball game again, because there now, people are not just reading a one-shot comic or just a graphic novel and moving away. They want to read continuously, reading new stuff
every day.
Exactly. So, beyond the celebrity status, there's still a lot of work that has to be put in the background. There's a lot of pushing. There's a lot of, intentionality before you can get there. So yeah, that's really true. Now, this forms the basis of the next thing, I wanted to ask. And why would you say, despite all of this opportunity that we see in the webcomic industry right now, the proliferation of platforms, the ease with which creators can now create. People have access to digital tablets, they have access to smartphones, and all kinds of devices they can use to create their works. They have access to the internet, they can publish today on different ways. In fact, there's a lot of opportunity now digital. But what would you say is the reason why many talented creators, in their vast numbers, which we know, still remain in the dark even after they publish?
Yeah, it's simple. Zero marketing.
Okay.
Zero marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing to do the work. It's another thing to make people aware of the work.
Exactly.
I think that's one point where a lot of these independent African creators are lagging behind. A lot. You have to actually create a strategy around your work.
Okay.
You have to create a marketing strategy around your work. It's not enough to rely on hope.
Exactly.
That's the right.
Yeah. I think so.
It's not enough to rely on hope or feel that it's that good, it's going to blow.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Experience has shown that you have to put in the work to make people aware of what you've done. So I think that's where
the whole problem lies.
Yeah, I think that's where the problem is.
Very interesting, because actually I think there are so many key examples, so many examples that I've seen across the years. People who are really creative comics creators, who have put out really great work, but after some time it dies, in the annals of whatever, It's really, really something which, we have to focus on.
Yeah.
Marketing, putting your work out there. It doesn't just end at just doing great work.
Yeah.
And again, as a marketing person, I'll just add that there's a lot of competition out there.
Heavy.
Like it or not, it's heavy.
It's heavy.
It's heavy. I mean, you need to just go to Never Webtoon platform and you will find, millions of webtoons. I mean, and the ones which Never Webtoon actually works with the originals, are in their thousands. I mean, so already that is already an issue which, sets creators, makes work life kind of difficult for creators out of the box. So they have to work hard, very, very hard to get out of there. So now, saying all of this, it's now really interesting to note that, or it now becomes evident that community building is important.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important because you actually rely on your community to make your work successful.
Okay.
I'll take the example of Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We all know the story of Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
We all know the story of Zack Snyder. Mm-hmm. But he's one of those directors that has been able to create a very loyal fan base. Very loyal fan base. I mean, I guess if he just says jump, they will say where. If he says jump, they will say where.
Where.
And that comes from the fact that first he did great work, even though there was a lot of controversy around it.
Yeah.
That's a different discussion.
The same thing for another day.
But you won't deny the great work he has done as a director too.
Yeah.
And because of his work, he created a fan base he can rely on.
Okay.
If he wants to organize a special screening somewhere, he's 100% sure that there will be people there who come and watch. So that's the power of building a community.
Yeah.
That's with you all through. So that's the power of building a community that follows you all through.
Yeah.
Another example is my favorite director, Christopher Nolan. Yeah, when he announces a new film, you just see the whole community in an uproar. Like when, we're waiting for the next one.
Exactly.
So these are people who have been able to build communities through their work. So coming back to our case.
Yeah.
If you're an African creator doing webcomics and you want to create a community, there are practical things you can do. The most logical one nowadays is social media.
By the way, before you get into what they should do to build a community, that was a question down the line. But let's just go step by step. I just wanted to add that there's this creator, entrepreneur that I also like very much, Todd McFarlane. I think I've mentioned him a lot across different podcasts. And I do so because he's really an example of somebody who has embraced his creative self, but also embraced the entrepreneurial side of himself. In this fact that he understands that the creation of comics is business, and that the business has different facets of it, where the creation side, there is obviously the business side. And so he has taken all of that and put that together. I mean, there are many times when I get up in the morning, maybe due to time differences. We're based in Cameroon, he's based in the United States, and I get up in the morning, I see a live that's just going on where he's talking about some of his toys or some of his comics, limited editions or stuff like that, which is marketing to his community.
Of course.
And of course, and people are reacting and they're talking, he's responding to questions, he's doing things which engages them, basically, and he's doing everything and building that fandom, that fan base, which now becomes very loyal. And every time he has something to release, they are there to respond to purchase. So it is very, very important. I think it goes with the normal logic of the enterprise. Every enterprise, of course, has different divisions, and one of the divisions that I don't think any enterprise doesn't have is marketing.
Of course.
Yes. Every enterprise is there to sell something.
Yeah, we don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're marketing there.
They're there to sell something, they're there to offer something, so marketing is very important. And so in that light, they have to do everything to build a customer base. We're talking about communities. The customer base, which becomes very loyal to them, so that every time they have a new product, a new service, the customer base is there response to buy, to purchase, to consume.
Definitely.
So now let's now move into what we're rushing into very fast, which is building communities.
Yeah.
How do African creators nowadays do that?
Okay. Like I was saying, one of the most logical routes and maybe I would say easiest.
Easiest, yeah.
Easiest routes to go through now is social media.
Okay.
We have TikTok, we have Instagram, especially Instagram for artists.
Yes.
Instagram, X, Facebook, YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
So one thing that you can do as a creator is to make yourself, portray yourself as an expert.
Okay.
Portray yourself as an expert. Give relevant information about the domain. If you're an artist, talk about art. You talk about art. You talk about how to create art.
Yeah.
You give people tips. Like portray yourself as an expert.
Exactly.
At the same time, showing us what you do. Because if you're talking as an expert and what you're showing us
doesn't match. I mean, that's something else.
Then you're just making it follow yourself.
Exactly.
So, before you present yourself as an expert,
you cannot tell us that. I mean, you cannot tell us that you own this very nice restaurant, and you're the best cook out there. But meanwhile, every time somebody visits your restaurant, the next thing is the toilet.
They have to.
There's be something very wrong about it.
Leave of absence.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to be very good and then start selling yourself as the artist, the person.
Yeah.
First, not necessarily the work.
Okay.
Because when you sell yourself as a person, people get to know you. They get to connect with the person first.
Exactly.
On one-on-one
basis.
Before you now show us your work. Okay. You can come and say, "Oh, I'm creating this new comic book." Take your audience through the journey.
Exactly.
And always get their feedback. Always listen to what they say. So you can use social media as such to build a community around yourself, the person. The person.
Okay.
And when they are now attached to that person, they will be attached to your work because you can tell them I've published this on Zebra Copies. Go and check it out. They'll go and check it out because you're the one that said it.
Exactly.
So it's I think most of the things that they should do is to create a community, or to create a community that likes the person first.
Yeah.
That likes the person first, and then they can leverage on that.
That's very interesting. I think much of what you're talking about goes in line with personal branding.
Of course.
Of course. So every creator, if you're a creator out there and you want to stand out, you should be intentional about your personal brand.
Yeah.
Yes, you should be intentional about, what you do in terms of, in fact, what you show out there about yourself, and about your creations. And that's what people are going to take you for.
Yes.
And of course, that connection now will make them want to discover more about you, more about your creations, and they'll be able to connect with you very deeply. So yeah, social media they're out there today, available for you for free generally, to be able to push your works, push your personal brand, and get people to discover what you are doing. So it is super, super important. I mean, it's too crazy that today there's so many creators who just clearly just ignore.
Of course.
Yes, they don't want to, do anything out of their creative space. I mean, if you have the means to be able to hire a marketer like me, of course, I'll accept the bucks. The money, the free money is good, right?
Yeah.
The money is very sweet. So yeah. I'll gladly work for you and push your personal brand out there. But given that we know creators don't usually have all the money in the world to be able to, push their personal brands out there and to do what they need to do in terms of marketing, they have to put in the work. And if you want to think about success, you have to do that. At the same time, it's always very, very interesting, or very I don't know if I say funny or frustrating to see that creators find marketing or taking on the business side of art as being overzealous. There's that aspect. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I think I think it's just a result of the fact that most of them, because I got into it because of passion.
Okay.
So sometimes when you're doing your passion, you forget some things.
Yeah, true.
You forget some things. You forget that, oh, even though I'm doing this thing, that it needs to feed me. And there's some things that I need to do for it to be able to feed me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think at the beginning, most of them are driven by passion. With time, they get to see that, hey, but why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this? Yeah.
How serious do I want to become with this thing? I think that awakening comes now that I have to raise money, I have to do marketing to raise money, I have to do this, I have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. At the same time, I'll just say that generally artists feel that they have done this divine calling. They have these ideas and this visual capability, which is very spiritual, and so they have to just be left to themselves in some dark room by themselves, to actually communicate with God,
to enter the realm.
Yes, bring out this creative juice, this masterpiece, and then anybody now, the lower humans now, can take charge of putting them out on the market.
I think Hollywood has how would I say? Hollywood has given us a certain image of what an artist used to be.
Used to be. But spoiler alert, guys! Spoiler alert! You guys should just know that if you want to eat, you've got to work your ass off. Anyway, I just said that as an aside. So, Zebra Comics is going to be launching the third-party program very soon, very, very soon. We're opening up a platform to third-party creators, creators of comics from different parts of the continent and parts of the world, who can publish and monetize their works on the Zebra Comics platform. And if we're talking about this today, I think it's very, very important and timely.
Yeah.
Because creators need to understand what is going to be happening on that platform.
Yes.
What's going to be happening when they publish their works.
Yes.
Because I'm the marketing guy at Zebra Comics, but you can't expect me to market 1 million creations. Except you want me to go mad in my very young age. I mean, it's that certain that the platform is going to do all of the work that it needs to do to be able to push creative works to different parts of the continent. Of course, when you release, your readers will be able to see what is out there. They'll be able to read your works. But there's some work that each creator has to do. And what we're encouraging guys now is to do their community building. Yes. How can they do that as far as vis-a-vis their work that they're going to be publishing on Zebra Comics?
So you have to create a release schedule for yourself, first thing.
Okay.
Before I even get into that, make sure your work is good.
Exactly.
Number one. Make sure your work is good because there's going to be fierce competition.
Exactly.
If your work is not good, obviously you'll go to right down at the bottom. So if your work is good, it stands a chance already. That you already tick one box.
Exactly.
Second thing is create a release schedule.
I hope you guys are getting, work should really be good. Yeah. Create a release schedule.
Create a release schedule which you are going to be faithful to.
Exactly.
So that actually these are things that you don't just think it. You write it down.
Exactly.
You write down your release schedule. I'm going to be releasing on this day every week, or I'm going to be releasing on these days. From there you can now create a marketing campaign. We don't have to go too deep into it. You're not a company.
Yes, exactly.
You're not a company. You're an individual. But there's a way they can make a marketing campaign around your work.
Yeah.
Where you start, you can give snippets of the making of. You can talk about. You can have live sessions with your community. You can plan question and answer sessions with your fans. Where you'll be giving information about what inspired about the work, where the story is going, what the fans think is going to happen in the next episode. So find ways to engage with your community. So once you have good work, once you have your release schedule, you just have to respect it.
Respect your plan, basically.
Plan and then repeat. Plan and then repeat. So it's not something that you do to the next stop. If you want the hype to continue, you also have to continue how much do you talk about it. So it doesn't just end at making a plan for the first month and then you go to sleep.
And then just expect that.
Process.
Yeah.
give yourself time to plan for all of these things. The day that you're going to do the live session, the day that you're going to do the behind the scenes, the day that you're going to do question and answer with the fans. So you do them across the different, you decide which platform you want to use, which one you feel that you will have more traction for your work. So these are things that you need to do regularly to make sure your work stays at the top.
Okay, that's really interesting. I mean, not every one of us is a superstar, so I mean, out of the box, we need to do the work, we need to make this plan, we need to do all of that, and of course, we need to be consistent. You do it, you repeat, you do it, you repeat, and you grow. I mean, you're not the creators are not a company, as you said, you know. But I think that you could take it as one of your jobs, your revenue streams. And if you are an artist, you're a creator, and you are taking this as a revenue stream, of course, you need to put in all the action that you need to put in for it to become that regular revenue stream. Now, the question that I have is, why is it important for them to build communities after they are published on Zebra?
Okay, so like I said before, a community can support you in ways that an ordinary user of web community platform might not.
Okay.
There are many things that will come in the future, merchandising, adaptations, and all
of that.
When you have a loyal fan base that can elevate their work to meet the requirements to get those kind of benefits, it's different.
Different, that's true.
You have some kind of, there are people that can rely on. These are people that will continuously read your comics. These are people that will continuously comment. These are people that will continuously critique the work that you're doing. So you need that constant engagement, and when you have a fan base, it gives you some level of assurance that you have that.
That's true.
Yeah, so I think that's what I can say about that.
No, that's really interesting. I mean, what I'll add is that it enables you to make the moolah, the money, the bam, the dough.
Of course.
Without all of that, all of those stuff, ranking your comics, getting the views that you need, monetizing it will be very difficult, because of course you need people to come out there.
They're going to pay because it's you.
Exactly. So you need your community to be behind you and to support you. Now, just to close off, Zebra Comics basically has a community of people that we animate on a constant basis. We work to build. We're constantly working to build the community and to engage with the community every time. That's why we have contests now. We have lives on TikTok. We have, even the third-party program we are launching is a way of building community. Of course, we have a comment section that is coming. We have many activities that we have run over the years that have helped us to build a community, and thanks to that, we've had loyal users of the platform who've gone on, of course, to take the actions we want them to take. Buying subscriptions, engaging with the content, sharing it here and there, and of course, that's what has enabled the company to be sustainable and to grow up to now. So, if you're out there and you're a creator, know that there's a lot of opportunity for you. Of course, Zebra Comics platform is going to do everything to be able to show your work out there to as many readers as they are out there in the world. But of course, for you to be able to stand out, really, people, as they say, relate more to people. They want to feel that their creators are also human, and that they are relating with them, and they are sharing stuff with them, and they are going to replicate. They are going to, as I think Idi Amin who said it, they're going to retaliate. Where do one thing, the other guys are going to retaliate the good work that you're doing. Exactly.
Dead law of thermodynamics.
Exactly. Okay, guys, if you haven't yet started creating your comic, if you're a creator out there, we encourage you to create a lot of comics. We have some very, very great surprises for you guys who are creators for the Zebra Comics platform. Do everything, create your comic, make it available to Zebra Comics, so that at the time we are opening the platform, you'll be among the first for your to see your work go live, present in front of international readers, and of course help you to monetize. I think that's it. Okay. See you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.